What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back to my unit review series for Fire Emblem Heroes. Today I'm going to be reviewing Marisa. In this series I review a unit and tell you guys how good that unit is and what are some of her best clearance options. I also go over the teammates that you should be running with that unit and some counters that you should watch out for. So Marisa is a free to play unit that you get from the third mini Tempest trial, and it's pretty easy to get her even for the newer players. And let's take a look at her 5-star stats. Her HP is really high for an offensive unit, and it's similar to how Ogma, Lonku, and Karel have got a very high HP despite primarily being an offensive unit. Marisa's high HP means that she can abuse Infantry Pods and Panic Ploy really well, and she actually has some pretty good physical bulk. With the refinement on her Vote Out Plus, she easily crosses 50 HP, which is impressive. Her base attack is 30, which is low, and with her default Vote Out Plus, she can reach 43 attack, and it's not that good. She will not be able to do a lot of damage, and she relies heavily on her specials to damage with Vote Out Plus. This is Marisa's biggest flaw. Not having the ability to secure one-round KOs really holds her back, and she will require support from allies so that she can do decent amount of damage, especially in tier 20 arena where you're facing a lot of these enemies who have got refined weapons, and because of that they're pretty bulky and also a lot of armored units, so she will certainly struggle against them, and she also lacks the ability to have IVs, so fixing her attack is hard. Her speed is good at base 36, and with a slot A skill and proper refinement, she can abuse this to charge up her special and do damage with Vote Out Plus. Because she has got the high HP and good defense, having good speed means that she will not get double that much, and despite appearing offensive, she can work really well as a defensive unit because of this. Her defense is 30, which is above average, and combined with her HP, she has got 76 physical bulk. So she is physically durable, and using this defense, like I said, she can be built defensively, and even on her offensive sets, having good defense allows her to naturally get into the range of Desperation or Wrath if you're running that. Her resistance is below average, but her magical bulk isn't really too bad because of her high HP. This resistance is still usable with a defensive set. So her weapon is Vote Out Plus, which goes well with her speed, but I would have liked if they gave her Shamshir as the legendary sword. And I know that Shamshir is pretty much a Vote Out Plus in Sacred Stones, but having a legendary weapon's might would actually be really useful for Marisa and fix her attack stat somewhat, and they could maybe have put another passive effect on it while having her Vote Out effect, similar to how Mia's Resolute Blade has the passive skill of attack plus 3, so it's definitely something which they could have done, but I guess there's nothing we can do other than hope that she might get that sometime in future. Her slot A skill is HP Defense 2, which is a rather underwhelming skill, but it bumps her HP to 50 and her defense to 32, and I guess it's not a bad option if you're just gonna be using her for Tempest trials. Now her slot C skill is the real treat. It's Infantry Pods, and it's amazing that a free unit has that because previously only Summer Xander had that, who's a seasonal unit, and then Dorcas, who's locked to 5-star rarity. So it's pretty good that a free unit has that, and now everyone can make use of this skill and experience it. Infantry Pulse support is absolutely amazing, and it's fantastic for Tempest trials and chain challenges, and I personally cannot wait to use Marisa and her Infantry Pulse for my free to play guides. Her special is Glimmer, which is one of the worst specials that you can have on her honestly, because their base attack is low and the damage output of her isn't really that high, and Glimmer is not good on such units. Glimmer is for the units who have got a high base attack and high damage output, so I would suggest you to not even bother wasting SP on this special, and something like Moonbow is much better. Her BST is 163, which is of course boosted, and Marisa, despite her speed and bulk, appears rather unimpressive at first due to her being in a very saturated color of red and a very saturated weapon type of swords. She can be compared to Ira and Mia, but it's much fair to compare her to Karel and Navarre in my opinion. Karel has got very similar stats to her while having access to IVs and not really having the defense which Marisa has. Navarre is a free-to-play unit, and offensively he does slightly better than Marisa due to having both 1 point higher attack and speed, but both of these lack the defense which she has got, and she can also be compared to another Tempest trial reward, Joshua. Joshua completely blows Marisa out of the water by having better resistance, higher damage output because of Adelma, and a much better default skill set. The only thing Marisa has over him is higher HP, so Joshua cannot really run Infantry Pods or Panic Ploy like her. So Marisa does not really stand out when it comes to combat, but as a free unit who comes at 5-star, she's not all that bad I guess, and she can be a reliable sword unit that provides utility to your team, and Wood Up Plus can also be refined to increase her HP even more, but the problem is that she's not gonna be hitting very hard. She comes with the valuable Infantry Pods, which now free-to-build players can use, and since she comes as a 5-star, you can easily build her up for Arena Assault, so she certainly has a niche with Infantry Pods, and being a free, bulky, high HP fast unit, she's also very versatile with her builds. She can be built for both player phase and the enemy phase. You do get 2 copies of Marisa from the Tempest trial, so one of them can be sacrificed for Infantry Pods, and here are some of the units and builds you can utilize Infantry Pods really well. I would say that if you've got an HP stat equal or above 45, then you can use Infantry Pods pretty well, and Ephraim is one of the best users of Infantry Pods actually, because he's got a nice HP stat, he can already support units with a segment, and he's often used with Blade Tome mages like Nino and Tharja, and Blade Tomes do give +1 penalty to specials, so Infantry Pods helps nullify that, and Ephraim is already such a good support unit that being able to reduce cooldown of allies is amazing. Ninian is the only dancer in the game who can reach that high HP, and that gives her a niche over other dancers by running Infantry Pods. If you refine her breath, then she also gets +5 HP, and she can be the only dancer who can provide Infantry Pod support. Ginger Stud Lucas can also make fantastic use of this because of his high HP, and Panic Plug can also be run with Infantry Pods because if your unit is running one of these skills, then that means that unit already has good HP to make use of the other skill. But Panic Plug is better on more durable units who don't run stuff like Fury because you want to be able to debuff the enemies for longer time, and Lucas acts as a very nice frontline unit while providing other allies with the Infantry Pod support and the Panic Plug support. Crom in about a week will get his Falchion refinement, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be giving him +3 HP with the refine, so Crom is a great user of Infantry Pods who can also act as a passive healer and also as a dragon check, and he can recover HP with Falchion and Renewal and make use of Infantry Pods once again in a mode like Tempest Trial or Chain Challenge. All dragons are able to make use of Infantry Pods because all of them have got good HP, and they get even more HP if you refine their breath. Infantry Pods is a good skill that can be run on dragons because Lightning Breath Plus does give them +1 cooldown penalty to their specials, so it's useful in nullifying that if all their dragons don't really have steady breath. Legion is an offensive free-to-play unit that can also run this skill, and if you have invested into him, then you can certainly do that. These are just few examples to give you an idea, and there are of course more units who can use it. She also has Wood Up Plus at 5-star, but I wouldn't really recommend you to fodder her off just for that, because you can easily get that by promoting a 4-star Athena to 5-star and use the Wood Out that way, so she's much more useful as an Infantry Pulse fodder. So now let's take a look at some of the builds that you can run on Marisa. This build is for the people who just want to use Marisa as a Tempest Trial unit, and even if you do have other bonus units, it's never too bad to run as many bonus units on your Tempest Trial team as you possibly can. The stats of Marisa that you're seeing is exactly what you'll have with the Tempest Trial buff. So this budget build only requires 2 units to be sacrificed, and in Tempest Trials healers are amazing, and with Marisa you should definitely run one. Attack Smoke is a great seal that you can run on her to take on multiple enemies. Now if you want to invest into her even more, let's take a look at some more builds. The first set is a low investment set that uses her speed stat. Marisa has got the perfect stat line to make use of Fury, but if you want you can also run something like Swift Sparrow. Even something like Reprisal can be run on her special to make use of her high HP, but Moonbow is much more consistent. With this offensive set you want to go with Speed Refined so that she can double more units and charge her special faster. The second set is a defensive set that utilizes her physical bulk. You want to go with a defense refinement on her Wood Out Plus, and because of her really high HP, Marisa is a perfect candidate to utilize the boost skills like Earth Boost, which you can easily get from a 4-star Bowie. And since we're not running Fury on this set, you can also run Panic Ploy, but Close Defense Sacred Seal is also a pretty good option. She can reach 40 defense with Earth Boost and proc bonfires that do flat out 30 damage upon trigger. Marisa can also work really well in the enemy phase with this set. And the third set is a distant counter set, and yeah, I know that foddering off a Hector to Marisa compared to someone like Mia and Ira is way less desirable, but if you really like Marisa as a character, then I guess you can go for this huge investment. Marisa has what it takes to run a good distant counter set with her high speed, a really high HP, and good bulk. She's not someone who will go down that easily or get double that much, but the problem with this set is that because of not running an attack boosting skill on slot A, she won't really hit as hard. Her fourth set is a more expensive defensive set that utilizes Steady Breath. With Ignis and Wood Up Plus, she can dish out 40 points of additional damage and solve her damage output problem, and she can proc Ignis in every round of combat. Because of Soleil and Soth appearing as a 4-star unit, the 5th set can be made and Marisa can act as a poking unit by using her speed and drag back the enemies who survive her. This set will work great in Tempest trials and chain challenges because she will mostly have her HP intact, so she can proc Infantry Pods at the start of maps easily. So those were her sets, and let's take a look at some of the teammates that you should be running with her. Marisa definitely needs support to make up for her low damage output, so units who can buff her attack like Ephraim, Brave Lucina, Dalthea, and Siegbert make for great teammates. The first three can also utilize the Infantry Pod support, and Ephraim in particular with his Siegmund Refine, if he runs Bonfire, he can proc it in a single round thanks to Infantry Pulse. Marisa has a lot of trouble against armored units. Units like Halloween Jacob and Christmas Starja will be a really big problem for her, and some units like Micaiah and Shershi who can check armor units. Marisa can usually deal with green armored units decently well because of her defense and the triangle advantage, but all other armored units will be a problem. Blade Tome mages like Nino and dragons who run Lightning Breath can utilize Infantry Pulse and nullify their penalty. Units like Felicia who completely rely on their 4-turn cooldown specials can also make good use of Infantry Pulse, as usually Felicia will not be able to one-round KO a Reinhardt because she cannot proc Glacies, but after Infantry Pulse she can do that. Marisa cannot get past Lance units, so that's why having some strong green units will definitely help. As I've said before, armor units are definitely very annoying to Marisa. Even if they do not have triangle advantage over her, Marisa will struggle a lot against them. For example, against Zelgius and Christmas Starja. Armor units are pretty common in tier 20 arena, so you have to watch out for them. Dragons, because of their high bulk, are also a problem for her, although Marisa can usually take out green dragons, but Noe and Tiki are just as common. Ephraim, Fiorm, and Azura are very common lance units that you see in arena, and these all units will easily stop Marisa in her tracks, and obviously blue mages will do a number on her. So that is gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.